Australia's $368 billion nuclear submarine dream is starting to wobble, as growing doubts over the AUKUS plan shake Canberra's long-term strategy to deter China and project power in the Indo-Pacific. The AUKUS submarine plan now faces serious delays, industrial shortages, and rising political skepticism in Canberra over whether the deal can actually deliver on time and at scale. Cost estimates ranging between 240 and 368 billion Australian dollars are under intense scrutiny, with critics asking how much capability the country is really getting for that staggering price. Canberra has already paid out many billions to its US and UK partners, yet not a single nuclear-powered submarine has actually arrived in Australian waters. Reports suggest more than $4.6 billion has gone into American shipyards and another $4.8 billion into British reactor and engine production, fueling concerns Australia is mainly bankrolling others' industries. Critics warn that Australia may end up subsidizing allied defense industries without firm guarantees on delivery timelines, fleet size, or sovereign control over the boats. Former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull says AUKUS has never had an honest, detailed public debate, and that critical details remain shielded from proper democratic scrutiny. Turnbull argues that Australia now risks paying the largest share of the financial and strategic burden, while the US and UK shoulder far less relative risk in return. Turnbull said, and I quote, "I think the UK saw Australia as a rich dummy that will basically subsidize their creaky submarine program. Our parliament has the most at risk here, but it has been the least curious and the least informed." Unquote. The US Navy is already wrestling with a growing backlog of Virginia and Columbia-class submarines on order, making export promises to Australia even harder to fulfill. American shipyards currently turn out only around 1.2 nuclear submarines a year on average, well below what US planners say they actually need for their own fleet. Only 2 US yards are certified and operating at full nuclear submarine capacity, creating a tight bottleneck that limits both domestic and allied deliveries. At the same time, Britain's own submarine fleet is hampered by maintenance delays and a small number of fully ready boats, raising questions about how much support London can spare. US law requires the president to certify that any submarine sales will not undermine American fleet strength, adding another legal break on transferring hulls to Australia. Current reports put the US attack submarine fleet at about 49 boats, significantly short of the long-stated target of 66, making every hull politically and strategically precious. A recent U.S. congressional report went so far as to openly weigh an option under which Washington would not sell any submarines to Australia at all. Instead, the report suggested the U.S. could retain its boats under American flags, merely operating them from Australian bases and ports in the Indo-Pacific. Lawmakers reportedly fear that giving up hulls could weaken America's hand in a future Taiwan crisis, just as Washington seeks more undersea presence in the Western Pacific. The same report noted that Australia has never formally promised to back the U.S. in a Taiwan conflict, raising doubts about trading away submarines without ironclad commitments. Against this backdrop, some defense experts now urge Canberra to look at acquiring B-2 or B-2-style stealth bombers as a stopgap alternative to delayed submarines. Such bombers would give Australia back the long-range strike reach it lost with the retirement of the F-111, allowing it to project power far beyond its shores. With aerial refueling and heavy payload capacity, a stealth bomber fleet could hit deep targets, bases, or ships at range, complementing or substituting for submarines in some scenarios. An Australian stealth bomber force would also complicate China's air defense planning, forcing Beijing to guard far more axes of approach and allocate more missiles to the south. While the first AUKUS pillar of a nuclear submarine fleet remains distant and elusive for Canberra, work on the second pillar, advanced technology sharing, is already in motion. Despite submarine delays, AUKUS partners are pressing ahead with cooperation on high-end technologies ranging from undersea systems to AI, cyber, and space capabilities. A new deep space advanced radar capability is being built in Western Australia, designed to track objects in high orbit and strengthen Allied space situational awareness. Quantum navigation trials are underway to develop backup systems that could guide ships and aircraft even if GPS is jammed or destroyed in a future conflict. A trilateral hypersonic test fund is bankrolling joint flight campaigns through 2028, aiming to field faster, more survivable missiles and glide vehicles. Yet for all the side projects and tech trials, the core promise of AUKUS, a sovereign nuclear-powered Australian submarine fleet able to deter China from the deep, still looks distant on the horizon.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.